guys, if you're planning your first time ever cruise, or maybe it's your second cruise and the first time you really didn't think too much about it, and that is go on the website, find the map of your boat, find out where the Lido deck is, and then what's going on, if at all possible, book your cabin on the same deck as the Lido deck. You're at the same place where the restaurants are at, majority of them. The bars, you're on this corner. Don't have to mess with the stairs. Don't have to wait for an elevator. Simply walk diagonal. Going on this corner. Through this cool area. Through this hallway. I want to share a piece of advice with you that was given to us by someone who cruises a lot, and that is day one, wear your swim trunks, wear your swimsuit under your clothes. As soon as you get on the vessel, your rooms aren't probably going to be open for a while. They won't be available to you because that is where the sail away party is going to happen. And on this vessel, Leon does a great job. Leon's a cruise director. And once you start to push off, the party starts, and the next thing you know, you turn around and that pool deck is completely covered with people dancing, singing, having a great time. So when you get on the boat, just head straight up there, stake your claim. And so that's why you want to check your luggage, bring one carry-on with you, enjoy the view, ride the slides. Those slides are faster than any slides we have at the water park here in Cape Coral, Florida. One of the things we noticed right away was how blue the water is. The water is unexplainably blue. And despite the fact that you kind of feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere, just a quick look around, you're reminded, hey, there are other vessels relatively close by, as you can see here. So here on the top of the Lido deck, you have the ropes course, which I had a lot of fun on. It's always fun when you get a few bourbons in you and you walk around on some cables and some ropes and you're, hey dudes. I'm sure a more rigid tennis shoe would have been better, but I still had a good time. Believe it or not, no one was up there either. I was the only one on the rig at that time. As you can see, they have a pool table as well. Indoor outdoor pool table. There's also a miniature golf course, which you'll see later. Here are the rear hot tubs and the smaller pool on the rear of the ship. We honestly didn't go back there very often because of where our room was placed and we're so close to the mid deck. We spent most of our time, honestly, daily on the mid deck, in the pools, in that area. Here's a better shot of the basketball court. Like I said, it's a half court, regulation 10 foot. I did contemplate bringing my running shoes. From what I understand, this running track, 10 laps equals 1 mile. Now here is Guy's Burgers. This will probably be one of your staples. If at all possible, from the daytime, don't go to the buffet. Guy's is open from 12 until 6:30. Here's the atrium. When you board the vessel, you'll come through the atrium. That's where the main elevators are, guest services, and basically the entrance to all the shops, the casinos, all the main generalized areas will be based off of the atrium. A lot of great gift shops. Majority of the gift shops are not marked up, believe it or not. When I went and got a few items that you'd be able to buy at a local store here in Florida, they were about the same retail. Now that is based off Florida prices, so it may seem a little more expensive if you're from the Midwest. Here's a casino, not open yet in this shop, but it's usually got plenty of people in there. Now, if you are a vapor or a smoker, you can smoke and or vape in the casino while you're playing. You can't just hang out and lounge and smoke. You have to do that up on top of the Lido deck. But if you are actively playing, you can smoke and or vape. And obviously, as you're sitting around playing, hopefully winning, there will be wait staff coming around to offer you drinks that you do have to pay for. They're not included, which to that point, if this is your first cruise, I would strongly recommend getting a drink card. Entertainment options are a constant on Carnival Cruises, and the Sunrise is no different. They had what seemed to be two major areas. I'm not sure what this particular venue is called, but they had a marriage game here. They had Deal or No Deal here, and then in their other smaller theater, they had a great show that we went to called Soulbound. Then they have two smaller clubs for comedy. And then, of course, if you have children or teenagers, here's the arcade. I will say the arcade games seemed relatively new. They seemed up to date. They weren't dated. I did not check the prices on them. I will imagine it probably cost you quite a bit if your kids are down there a lot. So if your kids are into video games, here are some great arcade games. Here is the dining hall. Now you can choose which time you want to eat. I think we went later in the evening. We did one fancy dinner night. You can go to the dining hall every day. I wish we would have went more. We only went this one time. I will say here's a little secret tip for you. The dining hall is the fancy restaurant experience, so that means the serving sizes they give you are smaller. But with that being said, you can have 2 appetizers, 2 entrees, and 2 desserts per person. Here is their onboard coffee shop. Once again, the prices are great. I think they're about $1 cheaper than Starbucks. Here's another tip for you guys. If you want to go to Half Moon Cay early in the morning, you gotta get up early in the morning and go get your shuttle passes. Throughout the day, you might find messages left on your door, but with all the excitement, you may not be paying attention. So here it is, 6:48. I'm heading down to the Red Frog Bar thing to get shuttle passes. That line starts at 7. And so I'm heading down there now. So it is important that if you see papers strapped to your door and you want to get the most out of your vacation, you pay attention to those and read them. So I got to the Red Dog Saloon, and people were there waiting, and I naively thought that it was going to be kind of a, let's form a line and get our cards. No, what happened was the Carnival staff came out, they dropped a sign in the middle of the room, you can see right here, with all the cards on them, and then people just swarmed in mass humanity. It was almost like the old videos you would see of Black Friday shopping when people were just going crazy for that one Elmo doll. I had to have the guy in front of me grab me 3 cards, and I got out of there as soon as I could. It was pure chaos. That was my first indicator of some of the downside of things to come on this Carnival cruise. So here we are off the shores of Half Moon Cay. This is a boat that has some staff on it. When you go on Half Moon Cay and you're enjoying your day, there are places to buy food there, but keep in mind, as you just saw, that little speedboat shot off with some Carnival Cruise staff. That's because they host a barbecue, and essentially they have hamburgers, hot dogs, cookies, desserts, and the same tea and lemonade that they serve on the vessel, all included. So if you're taking your family out there for the day, don't worry, free food is there. The beach was good size. They do have it roped off. They do not want you swimming out past the roped area. It is the Atlantic Ocean. The water's a little chilly, but we made it work. We enjoyed our day. We enjoyed our time. Had a great, beautiful experience. Hung out for about 2.5 hours, and then we made our way back onto the boat because we did not want to have to deal with the last 2 boats going back in because they were a shuttle service.
Gary, say hi. Say hi.
And we got cards to get out there at a good time, but it was coming back catch as catch can, and you had to be back by a certain time. And so we had got enough sun, spent enough time on the island, and we headed back before our friends. Now, heading to the island, we're on an old glass bottom boat down inside on the 2nd floor. Down inside on the 1st floor, it was a little rocky. We had to wait for people to board. It was hot. I do know by the time we got to the island, one of the passengers had passed out on the inside. So on the way back, we made the plan to ride on top. It was not a glass bottom boat, but just a ferry boat. We sat up on top, got to enjoy the beautiful view. But this decision would come and bite us a little bit in the butt here in about 10-minute little boat ride. So no one on this ferry was prepared or even expecting what was to come next. So as you can see that port, we're going to pull up there. They're going to drop the gangplanks with the idea of us boarding the vessel. Now you can see where the lifeboats are, and then you can see there's rooms above those lifeboats. As we get pulled up and the crew is getting the boat situated, things start falling from the sky.
So when we were coming back from our sea excursion, as you guys saw, we were on top of the ship and had no cover. And so when we were sitting on the side of the boat, somebody up above us was throwing food down on us. They were throwing chicken salad. At first we all thought it was like bird shit, but it turns out it wasn't bird shit. It was chicken salad. So yeah, not like chicken salad, but like the mayonnaise-based stuff, but actual a salad with chicken in it.
Sadly, I didn't get video of it, but at that point, people start holding their towels over their heads, screaming to get off the top of the boat because so much food was coming down on us. I think the chicken salad incident was kind of an indicator of what was to come. I think at this point in the cruise, everybody had gotten comfortable being on the cruise, and so they let their guard down. You know, when you first get on the boat, maybe you want to present yourself in a certain manner, and this was the start of some run-ins that people around us had with other people. People were starting to get loud, rude, and obnoxious. Turns out when the rest of our family got back, they were on the last boat off the island, and it was hot, and people were getting angry, and I guess people were starting to fight in line, to at which point one of the females in our large group had to stand up for another woman and her child as they were being attacked verbally by 3 other people who were also in line.
What's up, work your ass off TikTok? This is just a reminder that if you haven't done so in a while, go ahead and book yourself a vacation. You deserve it.
This is the Pig and Anchor. Technically, it's Guy's Pig and Anchor. It's a barbecue joint. Now, it is only open from 12 until 2:30 on sail days, plus the day you leave port. When you get on the boat, this little hideaway will be open. Now, the reason I call it a hideaway is unlike the Blue Iguana, unlike Guy's Burgers, unlike the deli store, unlike the pizza joint, the Chinese restaurant, where they're down in the main lobby, this is up on floor 10, and it's kind of tucked back away. So you can see the sign, but you can't see the front or the lines from down by the pool. And so you can go up there, and there's very few people up there considering or based off of the lines at the other food establishments. And this is some of the best food on the boat, and it is included. So I highly recommend at all times, if you see the Pig and Anchors open, head up there, grab yourself a food. There's tables up there. You can just hide away, consume lots and lots of protein, get your fill. And then as they close throughout the day, then you can go to Guy's Burgers, Blue Iguana, get yourself a pizza, a Philly cheesesteak. But these are the staples, and then you always leave the buffet to last. When it comes to the deck chairs on the Lido deck, they kind of have a 45-minute rule. If you stake claim, put your stuff down, and you leave, and the people walking around who work there see that no one's kind of been sitting in that area in 45 minutes, they will collect your belongings and put them over to the towel rental area so that people can have access to these chairs. Here's the mini golf course. I didn't play. From what I understand, the golf balls are biodegradable, and so they kind of bounce funny, and they take a little time to get used to from what I'm told. But if you're a putt aficionado or you just want something extra to do with your kids to break up the day, perfect spot. It's up out of the way. It's a nice little putt spot. Great view of the beautiful blue water. One of the things I advise you to do before you leave home or before you leave port and lose internet access, if you haven't done so, download the Carnival app. This will have your cruise. This will give you the agenda. You can access the menu for the restaurants. They do have paper menus there as well. But if you want an idea of what's going on throughout the ship, where it's located, such as the Deal or No Deal, Newlywed Game, the 2 or 3 comedy shows that went on, which movies are playing in the middle of the night so you can watch it out on the Lido deck with your kids or with your loved ones, or just hang out with your friends, watch a movie. All those things can be found on the app. This is a smaller ship. You will learn the layout quite quickly. I like that about this ship. You can get to where you need to go. There's plenty of things to do. Here's another sign of things that kind of broke down, if you will. There's a lot of people accessing the water, the ice, the tea, and the lemonade. So sadly, throughout the cruise, this sign did become quite common. Things were constantly broken. I will say the maintenance crew usually had them repaired before the next morning. Say hi. Hi, TikTok. Enjoying your vacation?
Yes.
Missing fishing?
No.
Missing the puppies? Here's the Lido deck at night. The lights are beautiful. You can sit in a hot tub, I think up until 11 p.m. The pool closes at 11 p.m. But even after 11 p.m., they have movies running. But as you see here, there are people sitting in the hot tub enjoying the movie. Every night's a different movie, and they're not old movies. They are mainstream movies. I think they had Gran Turismo playing. They had another superhero movie playing the night before that. And you got the view, you got the movies, you got access to the bar and the buffet. And so what a great way to relax after spending a day at Half Moon Cay. Wow, that rhymed. Unintentionally, mind you, but hey, here we are. I was talking about things breaking. Here's one of the elevators stopped halfway in between the floor. No one was on it, luckily. That's one of the 4 elevators that are glass that look out over the atrium. I think there's a total of 12 elevators altogether. Here's Bonsai Sushi. This is not included. This is a premium sushi, so if you go there and get food, it will cost you extra. Simply present your card and they'll swipe it like your debit card, and it automatically comes out of whatever credit card you have on file. 80s Glow Night. This was fun. This was up on the deck, obviously, the Lido deck. They handed out complimentary light sticks. My kid was down in the crowd. My nieces who were there were down in the crowd. Good time for all. And you get to sing along with your favorite songs. Shout out to Leon for another great night. Leon, the cruise director, did a fantastic job. Next morning, we get to Nassau, and I see the Carnival Freedom, which I had recognized from this TikTok video. And it was interesting to see how they temporarily repaired it. Apparently, the whale tail housings aren't just sitting around a warehouse, so they just took it off completely. Here's a nice, cute little parade of the different towel animals that you may find when you come back to your stateroom. This is the only time they did it. This was the morning we went to Nassau. They kind of had a little parade as we headed off the boat and got down into Nassau. Now, I am a Southwest Floridian. I am used to heat and humidity. It is super hot in the Bahamas. At least it was this day. Here's a bunch of different vessels from the Carnival Cruise Line. We did walk about 2 miles, went down to the port, hoping to see some sea turtles, which we got in luck. We did find some sea turtles when Rusty was taking some shots at this restaurant. To be honest with you guys, though, being Southwest Floridians, a lot of this stuff we felt it was kind of like walking around the malls here. You get off the boat, they have the straw market, they got a bunch of nice shops, they got some bars, some restaurants. But to us, it just felt like we were back in Fort Myers or Estero or Naples, Florida, kind of just walking around. Obviously, the clear water is a completely different statement. But the environment in and of itself was just very reminiscent to what we had at home, with the exception of the locals just trying to make money off of you, which I understand that's their economy. It's a tourist economy. But as you walked around, it was just people trying to jump into your pocket, to the point where we walked around, got a few shots, and we decided, hey, now's the time to access some of the things on the boat that we don't get to access when everybody's here. So we only walked about a mile, spent an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours just meandering around, got right back on the vessel and participated and took advantage of the things that we normally couldn't get to when the full crowd was there. So Nassau's great. You know, if you're from the Midwest and you're not used to that sort of environment, I'm sure you have a great time. But for us, it was just a really hot experience and what we were kind of used to as far as the shops and the restaurants and that whole scene. So we definitely enjoyed our time back on the boat while everybody else was out having a good time on land. A few short hours later, we did this weird like 5-point turn in the giant bay here. We actually had to back out our slip and then slowly turn around and then rotate and go out the other way. I will say once again, the water is beautiful. Unlike Florida, especially where I live, our water's green. If you go to Miami, it kind of looks like that, but not exactly like that or nowhere near that. But the water's beautiful. So if you want to see the beautiful water, get on the boat. That's the place to see it. If you want to interact with the restaurants and the bars, by all means, go into Nassau. But for us, we just like to stay on the boat and enjoy the view. And then we can go to all of our normally provided eateries and not spend a bunch of money on food when we had access to included food on the vessel. But it was definitely worth the trip just to see the water, how beautiful this earth is. I cannot get over how clear. I know it sounds dumb to say how clear the water is, but it's like, if you've never seen it, it's mind-blowing. As I said before, the broken signs, I'm not working sign, I'll be back in service soon, became more and more consistent as we get close to the end of our cruise. At one point, the iced tea and lemonade machine were broke, where the lemonade was just pumping up pure concentrate and not mixing any water in. Here's Leon hosting another fun little 90s music dance-off. He would walk around the crowd and find someone who's not truly participating or looking like they wanted to be there, and he would force them to dance through public embarrassment and shame, but everybody had a good time.
What you got, sir? What you got? Go, sir. Go, sir. Hey, hey. Break it down. Break it down. What you got?
Soulbound. This was one of the other things we watched. This show is so great that somebody else in our party saw it twice that day. I wish I would have got more footage of it. This is us waiting for the auditorium to fill up, and the statue behind us was not a statue, it's actually a person, and every 5 minutes he would move in a way, got to the point where he was freaking everybody out. One girl actually ran up the stairs and ran out of the auditorium as this actor moved throughout the auditorium. Sunday night, we got our bags packed, we got our tickets. The tags were a little weird. We were supposed to get them at a certain time. They never showed up. They were actually at Rusty's room, or at least he had 3 additional ones. Put them out so they get checked in. Next morning, woke up at the Port of Miami. We were supposed to get off around 9:15. Things got a little hectic down in the main building. We're stuck on the boat. There's too many people in there, so they won't let us off the boat. We were supposed to get off at 9:15. It's 9:36. Good news is we drove here. We don't have to catch a flight. Feel bad for people who got to catch a flight, but I do got a 3-hour drive home. I'm tired. Still waiting to get off the boat. Maybe if we do something stupid, we can get kicked off the boat, get off quicker.
Later, bud. And everybody, the birth certificate, go on another one right here.
Par for the course. Still stuck in this place. We made it! 11 o'clock. So I want to finish up this video with giving you guys an overall impression of our thoughts about this cruise. The ship in and of itself was wonderful. The remodel from 2019 was on point, didn't feel dated, very modern, had a very modern feel. We did like how small the vessel was. Some people like a bigger ship. I'm sure big ships are great. I'm sure when that time comes for us, we'll enjoy that too. But I did like the fact that this ship was small enough that we could get from one side to the other. When you have kids, nieces, and nephews running around, you got to get to one of the camps to pick somebody up if they're not feeling well, knowing where your kids are at, and just getting around the ship. It was nice to actually have the place memorized before you're on your way back. So let's discuss the food. As I kind of talked about earlier, in my opinion, the 4 main staples on the Carnival Sunrise is going to be Guy's Burgers, Guy's Smoking Pit, the Blue Iguana. Forgive me, I can't remember the Chinese restaurant's name because I never went there. There's a deli and then the pizza shop in the back. These are your core staples. From the time they open at 12 until they close, ranging between 2:30 and 6:30 p.m. These are the places you want to eat. The food is by far the superior food option. There are plenty of restaurants and steak houses on the ship that cost you extra. These particular restaurants are included in your cruise package, so there's no additional cost. These are the core places you want to eat. Once these places close, then you can go to the buffet. The buffet is always around, but the food it's buffet food. The eggs in the morning were atrocious. Not to be rude, you're talking to a guy who goes camping on the weekend at World War II reenactments and eat eggs that are made out of a 80-year-old mess tin on an open fire that's been sitting in a cooler all night. So I am used to eating subpar eggs, and the buffet eggs are worse. They're almost like reconstituted dehydrated eggs. So the buffet food, very disappointing. Let's talk about the casino. The casino was great. We had a lot of fun, played roulette. A little disappointed in the Texas Hold'em offerings. They had Texas Hold'em, but it was like some alternative version that was like super ensured that the house was going to win. Carrie had spent years playing Texas Hold'em online when we first got together, and she didn't understand any of these versions. She has since been going online and trying to learn the rules, but we primarily played roulette and did a pretty good job at it. Stayed away from the slots. Slots are a fool's errand. We stuck with roulette and had a good time. Let's talk about what this cruise offers and doesn't offer. For us, this cruise was intended to be an extended family cruise. We had, I think, 15 to 17 people in our universe. Now, granted, we all didn't hang out all the times, but we did try to meet up with most of the people at random times. We did have children with us, aging from the age of 4 to my daughter's 16. We had a 7 and a 14-year-old in there as well, so we did have some children. I wouldn't say that this is the most family-oriented cruise. Not
to the fault of the cruise line. Carnival, they do great. They have great activities for the kids. They have great clubs for the kids. Sariana and her friends won the scavenger hunt. So there are things to do, and it is family oriented. But with that being said, this is a 4-day cruise, and 4-day cruise tend to have a smaller overhead to get on the boat, meaning your stateroom cost and things seem to be more affordable, and a 4-day cruise is more attractive to the partiers. So with that being said, if you're between the ages of 21 and 32 and you don't have any kids and you're not there with your family, you're there with your friends, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, college friends, what have you, you're just there to have a good time, this is the vessel for you. And I strongly suggest you book a 4-day cruise on a Carnival Sunrise, get yourself a drink pass, Bahamas, Half Moon Cay, drink all day, have a great time. Bob's your uncle, this cruise is for you. If you're planning on bringing your extended family and you're not old-fashioned, but you would rather not have someone twerking in a G-string in the face of your 4-year-old, this vessel's probably not for you. You may want to schedule a 7-day cruise or find a different vessel altogether. And the reason I say that, other exciting activities that happened on the cruise, there was only 3 fights. 3 fights. My daughter did see one of them in the cafeteria. I myself had a run-in the cafeteria around 11 o'clock at the buffet, standing in line, waiting for my turn. 3 people left in front of me, even though I said 2. 2 ladies cut across the room, directly to the front of the line, start grabbing hamburgers, hot dogs. People were saying, hey, there's a line here. Hello, doesn't this line apply to you? She looked back at us and said, do you hear something? Finished getting their food, walked away. People are getting angry. As we discussed earlier, coming back from Half Moon Cay, having chicken salad and other room service food items thrown down on us. Everybody on the top floor of that boat was upset, and we're talking about going up to that floor, walking down the hall, pounding on every door until we found the guy with the chicken salad room service. There was a member of my family who was walking up on the Lido deck, and someone with their family who was drunk made an offhanded comment to her and then laughed at his crew and actually put his hand on her shoulder and laughed and said something which she could barely decipher because he was so drunk and incoherent. But she did feel off about that. Did not feel comfortable having some random stranger touching her, making a comment about her and her mom, and then the whole group laughing at him. All in all, we had a good time. It was Carrie's first cruise, Sariana's first cruise, my second cruise. I'm not a big, hoity-toity stick in the mud. Would I rather not my kids see a big fight? Sure. Would I rather not have food thrown down on me on top of the shuttle coming back? Absolutely. Would I not rather gotten into an argument with some women at the front of a buffet line? Sure. But does it turn me against Carnival? Absolutely not. It saddens me that this cruise wasn't a more enjoyable overall experience for my family, but we liked it. However, we are the cruise minority in this family because Carrie's stepdad has been on 24 cruises with Carnival plus other cruises. Her mom's been on like 8. I think her brother's been on 13. The other members of our extended family, they've all been on multiple cruises. To the letter, every one of them said that this was the worst cruise experience they had ever been on. And they asked us not to take the Carnival Sunrise and hold it against Carnival. That Carnival cruises, especially the 7-day cruises, are far more enjoyable, and they never have experienced that many fights and all the extracurricular activities that we experienced. So overall, I'm going to rate this cruise, I'm going to say an 8. Like I said, we had a good time. Pools are great. Food was decent. We had a few in and outs that you deal with maintenance stuff. The biggest problem was just our fellow cruisers and their lack of compassion for their fellow cruisers. So yeah, if it wasn't for the fights, the food dousing, and all the other negative things I've said, this is probably a good 9.3. But yeah, we're going to go with an 8 something.
This has been a Digital 410 production.